1, 2, 3, 4.
There are times I wonder if I'm really alone. There are times I wonder if I'm true. There are times when I feel alone and I'm full roam. There are times I feel alone with you. You are enough of you. And there's always a love for you.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm real or if I'm seen.
I see everything, you are enough for me. You are enough for you.
My gender doesn't really intersect with my work, and the fact that where I work, we don't really talk about gender. That's not something that comes up. I'm a therapist at a state psychiatric hospital, so I spend a lot of time talking about me, which is cool in some sense. I do really enjoy my job. It has affected some of my work though, because with my coworkers, I have begun asking them to respect my pronouns, and that's been difficult because when I first joined the job that I'm at now, I had yet to legally change my name. And so every time I was introduced, it was, this is Alec, but their legal name is yada yada. And so it's been hard to kind of make that transition, and finally I'm like, yeah, this is my legal name, and now you guys have to call me that. And then after that kind of settled down, I'm like, okay, and yeah, these are my pronouns. So right now we're at the step where I'm trying to get them to recognize my pronouns and accept them. I got a lot of very awesome people who are working really hard to recognize that. There really wasn't anyone in my group that understood, I guess, gender variance or that there are pronouns other than he, him, his, or she, her, hers. So it's been difficult, but there's a lot of people who are open to that education.
When I first started working where I am working, and previously before that, I could tell people of like who I was. Like, I'm Maverick, I'm a male, and like none of them would respect that because I hadn't legally like gotten anything changed yet. They're like, well, no, you're not, because your ID says differently. That shouldn't be like how it works, But yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of what I had to deal with, and a lot of people were able to access a training for like cultural differences and ethics. So that was kind of cool that they offered that to those struggling with like different people in the workplace.
My gender did. Currently I'm a stay-at-home dad, but my gender is intersected with my work in the way that by trade I'm a licensed home health aide for special needs kids. And so in Texas, I worked for the state of Texas, and whenever I would work in home with children, when I transitioned, I actually could not any longer work with female clients unattended. So I went from not being able to work with the male clients unattended to not being able to work with the female clients unattended, and which was interesting when I wasn't quite passing yet, but then I was passing and my bosses are going, so that was fun. But yeah, it's intersected with my work a lot just because of what I do.
A lot of people misgender me, like a lot of customers. I work in the service industry, so a lot of customers think I'm female. And I don't know, that's not like wrong necessarily, it doesn't, but it's also not right. I get frustrated. But right now in the work the place that I work, they're really affirming of like expressing your gender identity, and they ask you what your pronouns are, and I think that is so cool that that's happening.
I work at my school, and my school has been where like I found the most support in my transition, in my peers, and I have a couple close friends right now who I work with.
I work as an artist, and I've chosen this career because it's hermity. Like, I get to be by myself most of the time when I'm creating. I think my gender does affect my sales, for instance. When I have an in-person sale at Pike Place Market, it's like some tourists kind of don't know how to talk to me because of my appearance, and I don't know if it's a conjunction of being not white and not like buzzed hair and like, you know, the feminine Asian features, they're like, oh, I don't want to offend you, are you actually a girl, are you not a girl, what do you identify as? So at work, when I'm selling stuff, I kind of have to remember that people's perceptions of me are different from my own perceptions of myself because they don't know me and they're going off of assumptions.
I still get kind of like a lot of like sexist men in the workplace that are just like, well, he's not man enough or he's like too small. In other ways, it's kind of helped me because I feel like since my transition, people take me more seriously as a male, and that's really unfortunate because I feel like females deserve the same equality.
So just this week I had an experience where I feel like my gender has kind of affected the way, or me in the workplace. I had an experience where I felt kind of targeted for some behaviors that pretty much everyone on the team presents, and I was the one being called out for it. Hey, recognizing I did the thing that I did, but at the same time wondering why I was the one who was picked out. And as a person who has a few marginalized identities, I was kind of forced to wonder, like, are they doing this because I'm trans? Are they doing this because I'm fat? Are they doing this because I have a mental illness? So in some areas it kind of affects my work life, wondering, and the reason I'm getting this unwanted or negative attention because of my gender identity. But I haven't had any outright harassment or discrimination, which is something that I'm really thankful for. Where I work is definitely not the best at being an LGBTQ safe environment, but they're also not the worst.
My gender has affected my experience in the workplace and a lot because not only did I have to change the type of clients and I chose the career I did because of the fact that it was more accepting in that way, but also it's easier whenever you're working at home and you're choosing your clients to work with, and I hated that in retail and in every other job that I had when I was a manager and things. I hated being a privileged white male. I hated that the way that people respected me changed. I hated that the way that people talked to me changed. I hated it. I didn't like the bias that I saw. I didn't like that they treated me differently. I wanted to look at them and scream, hey, do you think I'm this? But I'm not. And you have no right to treat anyone else differently because of this.
The way it affects me is, okay, do I tell people that, like, this is how I identify? Like, how do you go about that constantly? How do you navigate that? What do you let slide? What do you, when do you advocate for yourself and when do you just, like, sit back and let it, like, roll off your shoulders? I think those are things that I'm grappling with right now. Because I'm really only out with my queer, like, family and my queer friends. So I haven't, like, ventured further into, like, hey, actually, could you use, like, they, them pronouns for me? I think partially it's because I know, like, how much of a process it's been for me, so that I'm, I don't know, I guess conditioned to think that if this is, like, a process, then it won't ring true for me later, and I think that's kind of bullshit. Because I should just be able to be like, this is how I identify in this moment. And, like, who cares if I don't identify with that in, like, a year, 2 years, 10 years, because it's how I feel right now. But I think there's, like, this idea that I need to, like, have everything solidified before I'm like, hey, I'm genderqueer, so I go by they, them. And half the people don't really understand what that means, so it's like, with, like, emotional exhaustion, so.